It's the brand new year, and many of us, myself included, we're trying to build new good habits, break the old bad ones, and these are the 3 habits that I'm working on, and here's exactly how I'm gonna stick to them. What's going on, guys? For those of you who are new here, my name is Kevin Jabal. Now, habit number 1 is going to sleep earlier, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this one. So first of all, why am I staying up late? And there's 3 main reasons. Number 1 is I'm hanging out with people, I'm being social, and I'm just having a good time. Lose track of time, simple as that. Number 2 is I get this creative burst of energy late in the evenings, and sometimes it feels really productive, feels really good and like the right thing to do in the moment, but when you are cranking on work at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and you're getting a lot of stuff done, it just messes up the next day. And then number 3 is watching TV or Netflix or being on social media, on Reddit, just too late, waste of time, not a good use of energy. So why do I actually care about fixing this? Because I'm fortunate in that by running my own businesses, I can wake up pretty much whenever I want. But what I found is that if I sleep earlier and wake up earlier and sleep the same number of hours, so let's say it's like 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. versus 2 a.m. to 10 a.m., so 8 hours in both instances, if I sleep earlier, I feel better, right? Even my my Oura Ring will show me that my HRV, my resting heart rate, my overall sleep score is just better when I sleep earlier. And the cool thing there is that tracking my sleep with whatever device you want to use not only gave me the insight, right, to actually see that this is something I want to change and improve and optimize, but it holds me accountable too, because now if I'm sleeping late constantly, I'm gonna see those trend in the wrong direction, my resting heart rate, my HRV. But a quick tangent, I think for people like me, it's really important to remind yourself, focus on how you feel, like check in with your body, check in and like focus intently, because oftentimes the body's telling you things, right? If I eat crappy food, I feel like crap afterwards, right? Big surprise. Or if I'm sleeping earlier, I will feel more energized and just feel better for the rest of the next day. Another big one was lower back pain. And in med school, sitting a lot, studying, hunched over, not good. I found that when I stretched, and you can see my exact stretching routine right here, then I didn't have aches and pains for the rest of the day. So that made it a regular habit because just by paying attention to how I felt, I had some important insights. Anyways, back to how am I actually gonna sleep earlier? There's 3 main things. So number 1 is, I've talked about this before, I have smart lights throughout my home and they all turn red at 9:30 p.m. That's my reminder, put the work away, start winding down, get ready for bed. The issue is I oftentimes ignore it because I've had these lights turning red for like the last 3 years. And sometimes it works, oftentimes it doesn't. The good thing about red though is that it reduces your blue light exposure late at night. It's dimmer, right? If I have a really bright white or bluish light like this one here, it's gonna keep me up later. So that alone wasn't gonna suffice, right? So number 2, in neuroscience, we're beginning to really appreciate much more the importance of sunlight for setting and regulating our circadian rhythm. I know, big surprise. Sun exposure, direct sun exposure, so not through a window, but actually going outside, even if it's a overcast, cloudy day, that will still suffice and get the job done. That alone will increase your melatonin production in 14 to 16 hours later that day. So essentially, you're helping yourself fall asleep later that night by getting sun exposure early in the morning, right upon waking up. And this one has been massive because I have sleep onset insomnia and I'll sometimes try to sleep early, but then my mind is racing, I'm excited about some new idea, and I'm laying in bed for like 2 hours, right? So this has been game changing. And the way that I actually am consistent about getting outside and getting my sun exposure is I love drinking tea every single morning. You guys know I'm tea obsessed. And by pairing drinking tea outside first thing in the morning, that makes sure that I actually go outside. So you wanna be outside ideally for at least 2 minutes, but closer to 5 or 10 minutes. And to get that adequate time while I'm drinking my tea, I actually journal outside as well. All right, and number 3, this is the most hardcore one that most of you guys are just gonna roll your eyes at, which is fine. I set up rules for myself, right? So on weekdays, if I'm at a social event, like before I go to the social event, I'll remind myself,
hey, 10:30, we gotta call it quits and head back home.
On the weekends, like whatever. But on the weekdays, I know if I don't do that, I'm gonna be caught up in the moment, having a good time, and the next thing I know, it's 2 a.m. All right, habit number 2 is increasing my adherence, my consistency with going to the gym. So I wanna be lifting at least 4 times a week and then cycling at least 1 time or more per week. And this plays into my overall long-term goal. I want to gain muscle, lose fat. Right now, I'm 6'1" and 160 pounds. So on the skinnier side of things, I wanna be 185 pounds long-term. It's not gonna happen this year. And I wanna have my body fat down to like 10 or 12%. So 3 things have helped me a lot with this one too. So number 1, actually the biggest game changer was using a calendar and actually putting my workouts for 2 hours on my calendar, repeating every Monday through Friday indefinitely. Because before, what would happen is I would say, hey, I need to work out today. but then I'd have meetings at various times, various like errands to run, whatnot, and then I'd push it off later and later in the day. And sometimes I'd work out at 2 p.m., sometimes at 6 p.m. I wasn't consistent, and oftentimes, after dinner, I'm like, yeah, I'll work out after dinner, but then I have my food coma, I'm tired, I wanna go to sleep, and I don't work out. So back then, I'd say my adherence was about 70%, not ideal, but by putting it in my calendar for the last year, for all of 2021, I actually got that adherence up to 95%. Number 2 is hiring a trainer, and I've been working with him since March of 2020. This has been a pretty big game changer. So before I used to do my own workouts, my own routines, and I would yo-yo, like make some progress, a month or 2 in the gym, and then just stop because I'd have some injury or whatever, and just keep doing that again and again. And I'd make some gains, lose some gains, make some gains, lose some gains. The big game changer here was 2 things. Number 1, he's expensive, and I don't want to waste money, so I'm gonna follow through on his advice, his workouts, etc., etc. So my adherence is a lot higher right off the bat because I don't want to waste money. And then number 2, he's an expert, right? He does this day in and day out every single day, even though I've studied the anatomy, physiology, and like I've read books and watched all these countless videos. Because like exercise, it's pretty easy, right? In terms of it's not rocket science. In terms of the intellectual challenge and what there is to know, it's pretty straightforward. But he pointed out blind spots. And for example, I knew that I needed to work on my ankle dorsiflexion to improve my squat form, which I was working on. But then he pointed out, hey, you also need to work on your hip external rotation on the right side. And I didn't know that. So by working on those 2 things together, I wasn't getting the nagging injuries that I was getting beforehand. So that alone has helped me sustain and endure longer because I can work out without injury. Number 3 is continuing to use my smart scale. So every morning after using the bathroom, before drinking anything, before putting on clothes, stay on the smart scale for like 5 seconds, and it automatically syncs to the cloud the body weight and body fat percentage, and then that goes to my phone. And this again holds me accountable because if I'm slacking off and not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, then it's gonna trend in the wrong direction. And then also it's motivating because like when I see it trend in the right direction, I'm amped to keep going because I'm slowly moving towards that long-term goal. And habit number 3 is dialing in my diet, which is actually a terrible habit. That's not really what my habit is. What is it? It's like, my goal is to dial in my diet, and a big part of that was reducing my carb intake. So I've been working on this since October of 2020, and this again ties into why having a trainer or an expert point out your blind spots is so useful, because abs are made in the kitchen, right? Not in the gym. And my carb intake was too high. So my coach pointed that out and gave me some tips. And for example, my breakfast now is 4 eggs, some either asparagus or carrots, and then blueberries or raspberries or blackberries. It's clean, I don't spike at all, like my blood sugars are nice and level. Making tweaks like this throughout my day, throughout my meals, is helping me trend faster with regards to my body fat and my weight. There are a couple other strategies that are helping me with this. So the biggest one, my favorite one, is actually this bad boy, the Levels CGM, continuous glucose monitor that I'm wearing on my arm. And I made a whole video explaining it right up here. Okay, let me start with the diet. So both my mom and dad are pre-diabetic and I'm not, right? So people might say, hey, you're not pre-diabetic, why do you need a CGM? What's the point? It's all about optimizing your health. So you get type 2 diabetes from repeated insults, repeated metabolic, suboptimal habits over years, over decades. So my mom and dad probably wouldn't be pre-diabetic right now if they had dialed in their diets and their metabolic health sooner. But the biggest thing here is it holds me accountable. Like there are so many times when I would have eaten something junky and I don't because of this. Like I had a whiskey tasting with some friends at my house. So like I have some alcohol in me, I have lower inhibitions, and I'm like, yeah, let's have some of that.
Baked cookies with ice cream. Yeah, that sounds great right now. Yeah, boy.
But then I was like, hold up. I got this on my arm. I can't do that. So one of the things I love about wearing this CGM, you see it right there, is that it keeps me accountable. So right now it's almost midnight, hungry AF, and because of the CGM, I can't be eating junk food. I got amazing ice cream, amazing cookies, amazing chocolates. I got all these snacks on snacks on snacks. But because of this thing, I'm out here eating sardines and kimchi. And look, I didn't spike at all. Great success. But the other reason I love this so much is that it doesn't just help me with my diet and making better choices, like eating sardines and kimchi is better than eating ice cream and cookies as an example. But also my exercise, my sleep, those get reflected on my glycemic variability, on my glycemic control. So this actually combines everything. So like the first habit of sleeping better, the second habit of exercising more regularly, third habit of eating better, all of that gets reflected on this, which is wild. Okay, the other thing is having a blow-off valve. So I'm usually disciplined when I'm disciplined, and then when I'm not, I'm really not. So I had this big box of, 24 of those really nice chocolates, and I straight up ate almost the whole thing. Maybe like friends ate 4 pieces, but I had 20 of those pieces in less than a week. I kid you not. So I'm doing a better job of not keeping tempting foods like that at my house, but I'm also now having a blow-off valve so that every Saturday at dinner, I can eat whatever the hell I want, and I'm gonna avoid having these like massive binge episodes. And so far, it's been helping a lot. So I'm curious to know, what New Year's resolutions or goals or new habits are you working on? And what strategies or tools are making the biggest impact? Let me know with a comment down below. All right guys, if you enjoyed this video, you may enjoy that one or this one. Much love, and I'll see you there.